At this point, elimination probably seems like the greatest thing ever in terms of solving a system because it's so quick. Just you add, you're done, and it's really good in that sense. Unfortunately, in all the examples we've seen so far, when you add going straight down, something cancels. X's went away, Y's went away, and it was great. If you look at this problem right here, if you add going straight down, none of your variables are going to cancel. I'll see kids do it all the time, so I'm going to write this here. You don't have to. Negative x plus 5y equals 5. I'll see kids do this. They'll write that down, and they'll be stuck. They won't know where to go from there. While it's not wrong, like the purple is not a wrong equation, you're allowed to do that. It's just not helpful because we already, it still has two variables in it. So while it isn't bad to have that, it's not where we want to go with things. What we're going to do here is try to make our equations, try to arrange our equations in a way so something will end up canceling out. So, if you look at the x's right here, they're kind of close to each other, but it's like, if you add those right there, there's no factors they're not factors of each other. It's not going to work out super nicely. But the y's, on the other hand, are fairly close to canceling out in the sense that if this was a negative 4y right here, and we added those two together, they would go away. Well, if I want there to be a negative 4y right here, I can't just slap down a negative 4 on there. But what I can do is multiply my entire equation by a negative 4. So what you're going to do on these problems is look at which variable looks easier to cancel. This one, all I had to do is multiply my y by a negative 4, and it's going to be able to cancel with this 4y. I can't multiply negative 3 by something and get a 2 in terms of a whole number or an integer. So I'm going to multiply by that negative 4, and when I do that, I'm going to write my new equations. I'm going to rewrite the whole problem over on the side. It's an extra step, yes, but it's important. Don't be lazy. Write down the new problem. It'll save you trouble later on. So I multiply everything by a negative 4, and when I do that, I'm going to get 12x minus 4y equals, and that's going to be a 52. So the whole equation got multiplied by negative 4 there. On the bottom equation, I'm just going to rewrite it down here. 2x plus 4y equals 18. And now when I add going straight down, it's going to work out nicely, like the ones in the last video. I'm going to get 14x. The y's canceled, and I'm going to get equals, and that will be a 70. So divide both sides by 14, and we get x equals 5, and then it's just like the other problems. You're just going to plug that in somewhere, either black or purple. I guess I'll plug it in right here. So I get 2 times 5 plus 4y equals 18. And if you solve that, you get y equals 2. So my answer is 5, 2. The new thing that you're allowed to do in these problems to force something to cancel is you can take an equation, the whole equation, don't forget the number on the side, people will forget to multiply that as well, and then you multiply by a number so you set yourself up for a variable to cancel. I saw I had a positive 4y up here, so I made a negative 4y right there, so that way when I added them, they would go away. Let's look at another example. This is one that if that last example made sense to you, you should go ahead and try this one out for yourself and see where it takes you. But on this one, it's not as immediately obvious. It wasn't like the last one where it's just like, oh, multiply by negative 4 and I'm done. If you look at these right here, there's really not much you can do in terms of a 5 and a 4. You can't multiply 4 by a whole number and get a 5. Not that you can't use decimals, it's way easier if you keep it to whole numbers. But the x's, on the other hand, I have a negative 2 and a 6. Well, negative 2, if I multiplied by 3, I'd get a negative 6, and then negative 6 and positive 6 would cancel out. So on this problem, I'm going to multiply this guy right here by a positive 3. And I'm going to rewrite my equation. I'll get negative 6x plus 15y equals, that would be a negative 69. Again, multiplying the entire equation by the number. And on the bottom, I'm just going to keep that the same and rewrite it. 6x plus 4y equals 12. Now when I add, my variables are going to cancel, which is good. Those go away, I get 19y equals negative 57. Pretty sure that's y equals negative 3. And then once you get that, you just plug it back in, like always, to get your answer. So if I go 6x plus 4 times negative 3 equals 12, you're going to get x equals 4 when you solve that. So my answer to this one is 4, -3. And I have one final problem in this video here. Sometimes, like so far on these two problems, we've gotten by with just multiplying one equation. If you look at this problem though, there's nothing you can multiply 2 by to get a 5 whole number. There's no whole number you can multiply 3 by to get a 7. Neither one of them is going to work out that nicely. So sometimes you will have to multiply both equations by constants. So if I'm looking at my problem right here, I'm going to look at it and decide, do I want my x's to cancel or do I want my y's to cancel? So right now, my x's have a 2 and 5 as their coefficients. So I need to think of something that 2 and 5 both go into if I want to cancel those. I could do the same thing with the y's, think of something that 3 and 7 go into. I'm going to go with my x's though. 2 and 5 both go into 10. So if I could multiply one equation by something and multiply the other equation by something, so I got a 10 and a -10, I would be in good shape. So what I'm going to do is multiply my top equation here by a 5, because 2 times 5 is 10. And I'm going to go ahead and distribute that. I'll get 10x plus 15y equals 70. And for my bottom equation right here, I want to actually have a -10 for that one. If I had a positive 10 and I added them, 10 plus 10 is just going to be a 20. So I need this to be a -10. Well, if I multiply by a -2, that's going to get me my -10x that I want. So I get -10x, it'll be minus 14y equals -60. So I multiplied by two different numbers each equation. Sometimes you multiply just one equation, sometimes you have to multiply each one. And now we add just like normal. These will cancel. We get y equals 10. And if we plug that back in, I'm pretty sure we get x equals 8 without actually showing the steps there. Let's see. That's going to be a -8, sorry. So we get x equals -8 just by plugging it into the equation. So my answer is -8, comma